Hello, my name is Tim, my company is Sports and Touring, and we are Jaguar F-Type specialists. It's a real privilege to have this car in stock. It's a V6 with the supercharged engine producing 340 horsepower. It's a low mileage example that's travelled fewer than 25,000 miles. It's in a beautiful colour palette on fabulous wheels, and it has an amazing array of optional extras. Almost every conceivable extra was ticked when this car was ordered from Jaguar's factory. Let's take a look around. This is a really stunning colour combination, isn't it? A rare colour, one of those colours which was not very much in vogue when cars were being ordered new in the 2010s, but is now so fashionable and so much in demand. Jaguar has two names for this colour: Loire Blue, named after the French valley, and dark sapphire blue, which is perhaps more descriptive of it. It's a beautiful, deep, luscious blue, and this F-Type really does look so very good in this colour palette, with the chrome pack, of course, and sitting on these beautiful 19-inch centrifuge wheels, which are perfect. They have been freshly factory refurbished with a full bare metal process, and they look splendid. They're wearing Pirelli P0 tyres, by the way, which is correct. And as we look around the car, how about those beautiful shiny exhaust tips? The exhaust note on the F-Type, of course, one of the things that makes it so popular amongst performance drivers. This car is in great condition, very few signs indeed that it isn't much younger, and of course, being a low mileage example, we can see that it has not suffered any of the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune which Britain's roads might throw at it. It's a delight to look around. It really is in such good order, and a great pleasure to have here in our stock of F-Types. Let's take a look inside. The car will be supplied, of course, with the owner's book pack and 2 remote key fobs, but amongst the many options is keyless entry and start, and that means that using the little button on the door handle there, we can simply tap the button, the door unlocks, the power fold mirror moves into the driving position, and we can open the door and look into this beautiful cockpit. Starting perhaps with the door card, which we can see is in beautiful order, pretty well as it left the factory. I see no marks or blemishes anywhere. And amongst the options again, we have the full Meridian surround sound package and the full multi-way memory seats with adjustable side bolster and rear back bolster. And they, of course, will remember the 3 drivers programmed, and that means that if you're sharing the car with other family members and so forth, it's very easy for them to get in and out and have everything as they wish. The condition of the car often is reflected in the condition of the scuff plate, and we can see there that scuff plate is pretty well perfect, as is the rest of this beautiful cockpit. These performance seats, again, an expensive extra cost option, looking stunning in this beautiful light leather with the contrast jet stitching. And that looks so good in this cockpit. In fact, the punctuations in this 2-colour cockpit really are very fine. Sitting down into the F-Type, we'll notice we've got the luxurious deep pile carpet mats as well. And then in the driver's seat here, as usual, I'll remark that we're in an environment which is a mix of science and art. The technology, which includes fabulous ergonomics, by the way. This is such an easy car to get on with. You don't have any of those moments where you're sitting thinking, how do I get it to do that? It's all laid out very clearly, and once you've got used to it in a very short period of time, it's a really easy car to drive. It's a practical cockpit too. Looking around, we can see we've got a storage compartment between the 2 headrests there. Another one here in the center console with 2 USB sockets, a 12-volt socket and an auxiliary input for the sound system, along with, by the way, a CD/DVD player. Then we've got the 2 cup holders there for refreshments on the move. And to explore the rest, as usual, I'll start up the V6 supercharged engine We'll see the instrument binnacle do its self-test flying display, and we'll also see the centre air vent rise up into position. There we are. The engine will hold slightly higher revs than usual for a short while to protect the catalytic converter as it warms up. And there's the centre air vent. The infotainments come to life as well. And down here we can start with these switches. And on the walk around you'll have seen the spoiler is up. There is the manual button for the spoiler. We can lower that simply by pressing and holding. We've got next to it the Eco Stop Start button, traction control off, and the switchable active sports exhaust, those valves in the exhaust which improve the exhaust note when you wish. Here we've got the shift stick, a beautiful piece of design. It falls so easily into the hand. Trigger on the front so that you can activate it and move into the drive position, and from there we go across into sport driving mode. In that position we can shift up and down using the shift stick itself, and we can always of course use the flappy paddles on the steering wheel. Back over here to the shift stick then, we'll put that back into drive and look at the driving mode selector switch. 3 positions, we're in normal at the moment. We can move it backwards and activate dynamic driving mode, and there you see dynamic mode confirmed, and the instrument binnacle has turned red in colour to tell us we are in full-on tutti frutti driving mode, as I like to refer to it. And that brings the car into a sportier configuration. For example, the throttle response and gearbox mapping change slightly for a sportier drive. Back to the switch, and we can go back through normal and into rain, ice and snow mode. This calms the car down very effectively if you're on a sticky surface, a slick surface, you know, a wet, slippery winter surface. Very worth using that mode. Up to the climate controls, and we can see we've got dual zone climate, so you and your passenger can have the temperatures that you select on the 2 dials. We've got air conditioning, of course, with timed recirculation, and this car, amongst the many options, has the electrically heated front windscreen. That's those electric elements in the front windscreen which enable you to warm the front windscreen very, very rapidly on a cold morning and clear the ice and mist. Very handy for winter driving. Similarly there, the heated seat, and over on the steering wheel we have the heated steering wheel option too. And until you've lived with a heated steering wheel through a British winter, I dare say you haven't lived. I'm over-egging it, but it really does make a huge difference to have your hands beautifully warm while you're driving. Back to the infotainment and this beautiful big screen which features the media selections, of course. Top left of the home screen we've got FM and DAB radio, and then a multiplicity of sources from Bluetooth. We don't have a phone connected at the moment. iPod, CD, auxiliary USB, and this car has a kind of jukebox memory on it as well, so as you play your CDs you can store them into the stored CD memory and then play them back from there. We've got the climate control selections here, so you can direct the airflow where you wish, and then over here Bluetooth telephony, very fully featured, completely hands-free with the button on the steering wheel, and over here we've got satellite navigation selectable as well. Lovely big screen, very good functionality, very easy to use indeed. And then over on the steering wheel, Bluetooth telephony there, and the infotainment buttons on the left, and on the right we've got cruise control and the active speed limiter. On the 2 stalks, of course, automatic headlamps and the rain sensitive wipers on the right. Above us, panoramic sunroof, this beautiful glass roof which lets the light flood in, or if it gets too hot just slide the screen across and keep the temperature down. And finally, I guess we'll see this on the walk around in a moment as well, the powered tailgate. So this car has powered tailgate. That means that pressing the button there or on the key fob opens the tailgate for you automatically. You don't have to lift it up and lower it again. It motors back down into position when you so commanded. Again, a beautiful space, and the condition of this car is just exemplary in here. It's beautiful. It's a low mileage car which has been obviously a weekend pleasure, not a daily commuter, and everything is in very fine order indeed. All of the technology works perfectly, the car drives brilliantly, and it is a real pleasure to have it. Let's switch the engine off and take a look in the boot. As I mentioned a moment ago, the powered tailgate option is another of the extra cost options fitted to this F-Type. Press the button And up the tailgate goes, revealing this big boot, 310 litres of space, albeit in a slightly awkward and unusual shape, but packs soft-sided bags, and you can easily get a lot of stuff in here for a holiday, or if you're into hobbies and sports. The boot extends right behind both rear wheel arches, so you could get golf clubs or fishing rods in there if you need to. Friends of mine have toured long distances and been away in F-types for weeks on end, and they've had no problem getting the baggage in, and with room for some bottles of wine to bring home and remember the holiday with. And there under the boot floor, this handy little cubby hole as well, which in this case has the emergency tyre inflation kit. So a very decent amount of space for a sports coupe, an easy car to live with. If it's your only car, perhaps you don't drive very often, you want a low mileage car for the weekend, and the F-Type is a very practical option when it comes to sports coupes. Closing the boot again, we could press the button there or up on the tailgate itself and down its motors before locking itself into position. We've enabled two-stage unlocking on this car, so the first button push unlocks the driver's door, the second button push unlocks the passenger door, and then we can have a look in the passenger side of the cockpit. And again we see that everything is in stunning order. The door card, scuff plate, seat. In fact, the whole cockpit environment is, I dare say, very much as it left the factory, unblemished. I'm seeing nothing at all to identify that this is a used car, and that is splendid testament to the way this car has been looked after. Under the bonnet, and there is Jaguar's supercharged V6 engine, producing 340 horsepower, propelling this F-Type through the 8-speed ZF gearbox from 0 to 60 in just 5.1 seconds and on to a top speed of 161 miles per hour. But this car is not a numbers car, it's not a drag racer, it's not a car where you're going to be going for the top speed gratuitously. It's a car which is about humanity and technology. It's about you as the human driver, your machine, your road and your journey. And this is a car which makes that connection in just the most sublime way. And then adds to that the beautiful colour palette of Loire Blue with chrome pack and these gorgeous wheels. And the extensive options on this car, which by the way include the blind spot monitoring system, an expensive option which is very rare on F-Types these days. And it does add up to a very alluring package indeed. So thank you very much indeed for watching. It's been a huge pleasure to show you this beautiful F-Type. We are Sports and Touring. We're open 7 days a week by appointment only, just outside Andover in Hampshire. You're very welcome to telephone, email or WhatsApp us if you have any inquiries. All the contact details are on our website, on Auto Trader, and also coming up at the end of this video. If you've got a vehicle to dispose of on your buying journey, we will give you frank and honest advice about the best way to achieve the maximum value with the minimum inconvenience. And if you'd like to chat about finance, we can do that as well. We're authorised and regulated by the FCA. Do please take a few moments to read our reviews in Auto Trader and on Google. I'm ever so proud of how our previous customers speak about their experiences with us. And I'll close by saying thank you once again for watching. It's been a great pleasure, and I will look forward to hearing from you very soon.